So, good morning, everybody. I know that Easter was last week, and I don't know, this has been such an interesting year. It feels like time is doing something different than normal. And I don't know about you, but I haven't really felt like Easter's over yet. I feel like I am still living into that energy, the idea of what it means to be reborn, to be renewed. And I know I spoke last week briefly about the idea of being stuck between the rock and the hard place, right? I spoke about the Israelites who had the Pharaoh's soldiers coming in from one direction and the Red Sea right there in front of us, and just feeling as if we're being compressed between these two seeming implacable obstacles. And then there is this idea of Jesus crucified, right? It's a really uncomfortable image when you think about it, because it's all about suffering and pain, and talk about being up against the ultimate understanding of our own immortality. And there's something in this idea, because I think about Moses, and I think about how he raised his staff and he parted the sea. And I think about Jesus on the cross. And they're very similar body positions with their arms wide open, and yet they don't necessarily feel the same. One may feel empowering, and the other one may feel as if everything is out of our control. But ultimately, in Unity's understanding of the crucifixion, is that this is the place where we are meeting ourselves at a crossroads, where we are meeting ourselves and being invited to cross out, to eliminate the old ideas so that we can literally be reborn again. So it's really the same thing. It's the same thing whether we stand in that place, in a place of empowerment, or whether we stand in that place feeling as if the universe and the world is somehow against us, which we know in Unity's teaching is not truth, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't feel like that. And ultimately, they're the same thing. They're the same invitation to transcendence. So right now, I'm going to invite Jessica Foster to sing a song which I think really invites us into this space of what does it mean for us to stand with arms wide open, whether that is through a sense of strength and yes, I can, or whether it's through a sense of I don't know. But the invitation to stand with arms wide open leads us to the same place within. Here's Jessica.
With gratitude, I embrace the day and know my life is gonna change. I close my eyes, begin to pray as tears of joy stream down my face with arms wide open under the sunlight. Welcome to this place. I can see everything with arms wide open. With arms wide open. Well, I don't know if I'm ready to be the one I have to be. I take a breath and go inside and stand in awe of an amazing life with arms everything with arms wide open. Now everything has changed. I feel love. I can see everything with arms wide open. With arms wide open. If I had just one wish, only one demand, I hope you grow like me and one day understand that you can take this life and hold it by the hand, and you can greet the world with arms wide open. Arms wide open. Welcome to this place. I can see everything with arms wide open. Everything has changed. Oh, I feel the love and see everything. Open up my arms. Open my eyes and open my arms. Oh, I feel the love. See everything. It all has changed. But here I am with arms wide open. With arms wide open.
Here I am with arms wide open. Here I am with arms wide open. Whether it feels willing or unwilling, here I am with arms wide open. Because we don't know what's coming next, folks. If this year has taught us anything, is that we don't know what is coming next. And there is a lot of uncertainty out there in the world right now. There is a lot of unsafeness. If you're an Asian American walking around the streets of America right now, this world is unsafe. If you are a person of color, this world has been unsafe in general for you for a long time. If you are not of the normative in terms of your understanding of your sexual identity or your your orientation, all of that, this world is not necessarily felt like a safe place. It has felt unpredictable. And that is true as we step forward, right? Now, this is me right now. This is what I feel like right now. I want to get back out into the world. I want to play, and I'm not sure. Can anyone relate to this feeling of like wanting to step out, and yet at the same time, we have been sheltering in place for so long. And it's time for us to start thinking about reentry. It's time for us to start to understand, what does that mean? How does that look for me? We're each making personal choices for ourselves about what feels safe and what feels right. And no matter where you stand in this reentry, and I'm not just talking about a physical reentry, I want everybody to understand this. I'm also talking about consciousness, being able to embrace the fact that we are out there in the world. We have always been out there in the world, but we have been sheltering in this nice, safe little space. And so as we step out in the world consciously, using our principles, using what we know and believe, it can be challenging. It can be disorienting. I still remember the first time I drove in my car after I had been not in my car for how long, right? It can be disruptive. We've set up new patterns. We've set up new ways of being in the world. So we have a comfort zone right now. But that comfort zone is so small. Just breathe for a second into how small some of our worlds have become over this past year. So it's time, whether it's in consciousness, whether it's in our physical being in some way, to just take one step. One step. That's all you need to do. You don't need to get ahead of it. You don't need to be way out in front of yourself. You just need to take one step and open up the cage. Because it's a cage that we have been huddled within. Maybe it's better images under our beds, right? But we've been huddling in that space, and it's time for us to step forward. And the challenge in this is that it's vulnerable. I mean, really, it's vulnerable to step out. Even that one step can feel vulnerable, and it invites us to be receptive. It means that we actually have to be present with what is in the world around us. And not everything in the world around us right now is love and grace. And yet we are inviting ourselves to actually be receptive to that, to be willing to be present with what might make us uncomfortable. So I want everyone to just practice, just do this with me at home, because this is a somatic experience, right? So I want everybody to just hug yourself super tight, right? Just hug yourself. And it feels good, right? This isn't about good or bad. This is just about, okay, I'm safe, I'm comforted, here I am, right? I got me. And now I'm going to invite you to just open up. And maybe stand up as you open up. And what do you notice as you open up? What do you notice happening within you at this idea that you are going to stand with arms wide open? I don't know about you. I immediately want to start to cry almost, because we're opening up that heart space. Now, for anybody who's taken Absolute Abundance, we know that this is a power pose, right? This is a power pose. And that in our willingness to stand in this, that we are actually neurologically activating parts of ourself that actually know we're whole, that actually know we're safe, that actually know that we got this, whatever this is. Now close yourself off again. Doesn't it feel small now? This is what we're being invited into, right? The largeness of who we are. Oh, good. I love you guys are all playing with me. You can sit down now. But you can feel that, right? And when we step into this space, we're also being invited in to step into one of the most powerful practices that is available to us, which is gratitude. Because as we stand here, and we are this vulnerable, and we are this receptive, all of a sudden we're able to notice the blessings that are our life right now. We're actually able to see them in a new way. And I love this picture because I'm like, isn't this what we would rather be? Relaxed and free, floating, supported. This is the truth of who we are, that there is a natural buoyancy to our life. One of the biggest challenges for me through this past year has been the fact that the peace that I have struggled to sort of find in the midst of everything that's been going on is celebration. That for me has been the hardest piece to find in a new way, to understand within myself. And when we are willing to stand with our arms wide open, and when we allow ourselves to be supported by the divinity that we are, that sense of celebration and joy and possibility is right there. We don't have to work so hard. We don't have to try so hard, because it's actually already ours. Are we willing to open ourselves into it? So I found this picture too, which I loved, because both of them have their arms wide open, right? And this is what happens when we stand in community with our arms wide open. We get to be the child who feels supported and carried and lifted and the joy of flying. And we are also that which is supporting, that which is lifting, that which is holding. But it's very hard to show up for other people when our arms are so tightly clasped around ourselves. We need to stand within ourselves. And in that, we will be support, because we are, and we will know that we are supported, because we are. And that connection is what will guide us and support us as we step forward. Because what do we only need to do? One step. That's all. My invitation would be to just become present to where you're sitting in your comfort zone, to where the smallness of your life, the smallness of your expectations, the smallness of what you think is possible has become a gilded cage. And that from that place, listening deeply to what is authentic for you, take one step and open the gates, open yourself, open your heart, open your mind to see what else is possible. Because when we say yes as an entire community to this idea of arms wide open, there is nothing that we can't do or accomplish or understand or be in this world. And it is time for all of us to stand strong and clear, or not knowing and struggling, it doesn't matter. But that we stay present and open. So let's take this into our time of meditation.